What's up, everybody? This is a Fox 54 digital exclusive. I'm Nick Kuzma here with Simon Williams. We are on the road for the NCAA tournament. I am in Lexington, Kentucky, following the Auburn Tigers as they get ready for what's going to be a true battle versus 9 seed Creighton. Simon is in Cleveland, Ohio. He saw Alabama sneak by Robert Morris University yesterday as they get ready now to play St. Mary's tomorrow. Simon, both of the teams, a 1 seed and a 2 seed, you probably expect things to look a little bit better in the first round game. And now these two teams are also getting ready to play, as you like to call, capital P programs in Creighton and St. Mary's.
Yeah, that's kind of the nature of this event. When you're seeded as they are on the 1 or 2 seed line, that second round matchup is going to be an at-large candidate who was a conference participant from a high major conference, and they either were like second place or third place in their league, or maybe made a deep run in their conference tournament. Meaning they're a talented group that played against talented teams and have won a lot recently. And so that's the case with both Alabama and Auburn. They're going to have to play two teams that know how to win and win a lot, and both come from very similar backgrounds. Both as smaller private Catholic schools. Creighton has kind of exploded within the last 15 or so years under Greg McDermott's tenure. Randy Bennett's been holding things down in Moraga for St. Mary's now for as long as I've been alive, feels like, and they know what they do really well. They won the regular season at the West Coast Conference this year, made it to the West Coast Conference tournament final, lost to Gonzaga, perennial power. They are the class of that league. Creighton has been in the class of the Big East for just as long. So none of this is going to be easy for either team.
What's really interesting about both Creighton and St. Mary's is it feels like also two programs that sort of took their time. Auburn and Creighton actually played against each other in the NCAA tournament back in 2000. That's the last time these two teams played against each other, and it's just amazing to think about how far those programs have come. And now all of a sudden, Creighton is potentially looking to get to yet another Sweet 16, something they've really made a habit of. And meanwhile, St. Mary's, who I really think also took its time, they had to go through those Gonzaga years where Gonzaga was the true class of the West Coast Conference, and now St. Mary's is a program that is also trying to make a habit of making deep tournament runs. But as we now sort of pivot and look ahead, what do you think that Alabama, I guess, needs to do differently if they want to move on to another Sweet 16?
It's been the same thing that they had to do against Robert Morris. It was offensive rebounding specifically. That's the main focal point for improvement. St. Mary's, they play really, really slow, and they get a ton of rebounds totally. They got 48 rebounds in their last game against Vanderbilt. It was plus 13 the rebounding margin. That's the fewest that they've had in their last 7 games, but they still had a double-digit advantage on the glass. That's unacceptable for Nate Oates to allow, his team to allow. He said as much. The guy said as much, and they said as much when they were talking about Robert Morris the last time around. Robert Morris was 12th in the country in offensive rebounding rate coming into their game against Alabama. It has to improve. Alabama is too big, too physical, too talented to allow what would be a possession change, a turnover in possessions, not a turnover statistic, but a turnover from your opponent's possession to your possession. Why would you risk losing that and letting your opponent gain another 20 seconds of the shot clock? That's not the math that you can play with, especially when you're playing against a team like St. Mary's that's going to sap the clock of possessions and play so slow that every other time they get an off-schedule possession, that's one more chance for them to just drain the clock even more. So you need to then offensively, if you're Alabama, convert so quickly and early if you want to have any kind of margin for error.
That's something Nate Oates really has harped on this year, and it feels like in the games that Alabama has lost or struggled, the offensive rebounding is really something that he's been frustrated with, and he's called it multiple times this year. The key to the offense, and it said previously, I remember when they lost to Ole Miss, he was like, I don't think our guys maybe are realizing how important offensive rebounds are to our offense, but it's paramount. Now as I look towards Auburn versus Creighton. Auburn also has their hands full, and quite literally with just an enormous guy in the middle in Ryan Kalkbrenner, a 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, a second-team All-American, a guy who's averaging over 19 points a game. He's top 5 in the entire country in both blocks per game as well as field goal percentage. And I'm really, Simon, just trying to figure out like who is going to try and slow this guy down, because I think a lot of Auburn fans should probably be a little fearful of Janai Broome trying to slow him down.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind with Ryan Kalkbrenner is he is really one of the true talents at staying vertical as a center. A lot of centers, true rim protecting fives, are very physical and they can tend to foul out late in games. They're also great at getting rebounds because they are able to out athlete you for that board and box you out successfully. And then offensively, they're able to get really harsh putbacks and dunks. Ryan Kalkbrenner is fantastic at not fouling. I think he's only fouled out twice this year.
The whole
The
team
most
is.
recent
I
of
think
which.
Creighton is number one in the country in fewest fouls per game. Like the entire team is.
But as you, as a center, absorb more contact at the rim, you're more and play in the restricted area, a place under the floor where you are going to be drawing fouls more frequently than others. For him to have that at that position, it's a trait, a habit, a skill set, divine intervention. It's it's a skill that Auburn again is going to have to try to exploit somehow. Work around a guy who doesn't foul, and that's going to be especially tough for Janai Broome, who is not an exceptional free throw shooter, despite the need that they have to have their center convert at the rim and at the line.
When you're already going, when he's already gonna be driving on a guy and trying to his little floaters in the lane and stuff like that, when he's trying to do that and he's already going against a guy who doesn't foul, and then if he does get a break, he does get to the foul line and he misses him, like it's gonna be a long day for Auburn. I mean, this is a team that really struggle from the free throw line. They have for a while, and I think some Auburn fans probably it's setting in that this team hasn't looked great for about a month, and some of the struggles have been at the free throw line.
Yeah,
It's just the case. A reason that Auburn didn't go to, in part, didn't go to the SEC tournament championship was Janai Broome had a chance to, I don't remember if it was Simon with a tie or get within one, and he missed both free throws. Like this is a problem. And problem is with free throw shooting, right? It's just like you are who you are at a certain point, and like I'm not sure if Auburn's going to overcome that.
since March 1st, Auburn is 316th in the country in free throw rate.
My word,
It's amount of possessions that you get to the line
yeah,
and then convert. There are
yeah.
360 Division One teams. Auburn is 316 since March 1st.
Um,
So think about it, the last, real month of play when the games mean the most and you're playing the best teams in succession and you need to make clutch plays often in the clutch of a game, last 4 minutes. Auburn is one of the worst teams in the country at that area. Conversely, Creighton is one of the best. They're second in the country in free throw rate since March 1st. And you have to go all the way down to about the 30s in that metric to find another NCAA tournament team. A lot of teams that made the free throw lines, a lot of garbage time points in mid-major schools. IU Indy, who we saw against Alabama A&M earlier this season. Butler, who bowed out in the second round of the Big East tournament, didn't make the NCAA tournament. Those are Colgate. Like those are the teams that we're talking about in high free throw rate. Creighton's number 2 in the country in that. So they don't foul in highly contested areas of the paint, and they are successful at drawing fouls in the highly contested areas of the paint. We're talking about margin for error with Alabama in terms of scoring and relative to the pace and possessions. Auburn can play faster, play slow. Creighton can play faster, play slow. It doesn't really matter as much as when the opportunity arises where they need to convert the most clutch baskets. They are not very good at it, and Creighton is very good at it. I don't like their chances.
Later. Um, I think we can wrap this up in a little bit here by talking about like who we think's going to win today and tomorrow. But I think we do also have to touch on Grant Nelson. You were in the Nate Oates presser today in the locker room today. You were around him. Is there any sense of his availability for tomorrow?
Yeah, he's feeling like he's good to go. He wasn't wearing his little sleeve on his knee. It's not a true brace. It's really just like a wrap, not like a bandage, but can't think of calling it anything else but a wrap. And he was wearing that yesterday or 2 days ago in the shoot around. He wore it yesterday in the game. He did not wear it today. They practiced, which was closed to the public and the media. You really even couldn't see it in the tunnel. They have a curtain in the tunnel. You can't watch it at all. They had practice and then they had media. So they walked right from practice. They were in their practice jerseys to the locker room. Well, Grant went to the podium and then came to the locker room. And I asked him, how you feeling, whatever. And He said, I feel good. Feels the same as yesterday is what he said. And he played, in must have minutes in a game yesterday. And so he said he feels okay, like it feels fine, but I think good enough to go. They're still going to keep testing things and all that. They didn't do any live teamwork, so nothing like 5-on-5 scrimmaging at full intensity during this practice. They said there was just a lot of, just kind of skill work and getting shots up, akin to a shoot around. But Grant is going to try to play as much as he can, and I think Nate and the rest of the staff are assuming he is going to play some amount. They just don't want it to be in a clutch situation, and they would certainly much rather not have him play.
Sure, they're really hoping to get this, obviously to win and get this week off and just give that a little bit more time to heal. All right, so Simon, I think we should probably make some picks here, and then we will sign off and tell people to enjoy the game. Let's start with the game today. I mean, for all the reasons we talked about already on this call, like, I'm having a real problem picking Auburn. Frankly, I I thought Auburn had a good chance of losing to Louisville or to Creighton, based upon whoever, just based upon watching this team for the last month. Something we didn't touch on, that's part of the reasoning. I think mentality is so important. It's a sort of a cliche concept in sports, but when the team's admitting openly that they had to have that didn't have to have it, they had players meetings, two in less than 24 hours after their performance against Alabama State. If your team, let me ask you a question. If your team feels the need to have players meetings in the NCAA tournament, that's probably panicking after playing a 16 seed. That's probably not a good sign, right?
Maybe not, but if you can spin it any positively, I would say that the players recognize the urgency of the moment.
Yeah.
They realize that it is win or go home, and this isn't a team that just is showing up for the fun of it. They're the number one overall seed in this tournament.
Yep.
Bruce Pearl said as much. We're regular season champs in the nation. They have solidly been the number one team in the seeding bracketology for like 2.5 months now. They've been the number one team in the AP poll for most of the year. This team is expected to make a deep run, another Final Four, if not win the whole thing. They don't want to embarrass themselves and not live up to that expectation, which I understand. I think it's fair. But if you have to have two of them, was the message not conveyed in the first one? So I get it, both ends of
Yeah.
that.
And a lot of it I think was about just like defensive buy-in, and just effort. It's like we shouldn't be having to preach effort and have a come to Jesus meeting in during the NCAA tournament. I just feel like that shouldn't be the case. And Jedi's was saying in the locker room yesterday, which is like, we need guys to like see the fun in locking people down, essentially. Man, that should have been. We shouldn't be having those conversations. The NCAA tournament, like this should have been covered, and everyone's on the same page. Regardless, I just feel like we should touch on that in the Zoom. But yeah, let's pick. I'm picking Creighton. Do you agree?
Yeah, I picked Louisville to,
Yeah,
win the first game, win the second game,
same. Yeah,
and proceed forward. I just thought something about this matchup, either Creighton or Louisville against Auburn, was going to yield the seed line upset, despite Louisville as the runners up in the ACC getting an 8 seed. Feel like they were a little underseeded in that regard, and but yeah, I don't like Auburn in this game. I guess I'm not going to be surprised at all if they win.
well,
They
no
have
one to see, like you just said.
right. They've demonstrated some proficiency in scoring well throughout the year. I like Creighton tonight.
All right, let's talk Bama versus St. Mary's. Who you like?
I like Alabama. I think they're not going to be as shaky in the first half offensively. I think they're going to really find a rhythm, even if they have to play slower. I don't think they're going to have much trouble with it. Nate was talking about it a little bit earlier today, that how we play fast. He was like, there are teams who play fast because they press you and force the other team to cough up the ball or throw it ahead, and then you can just pick six it and run it back real quick. They go, we play fast off of rebounding, kickouts, and runouts, which means they're dictating when they want to play fast, not reacting to another team's mistake. So in that sense, they can play slower if they get a defensive or offensive rebound, and then they are in possession. They can be the ones to decide how quick they want to get their next scoring action going. It will be challenging. St. Mary's is tall and old and good, but I like Alabama. I think they're a little bit just better all around, and they're certainly deeper. St. Mary's only runs about 5 guys that'll play more than 20 minutes. Bama can run 10 if they really want to.
I'm picking Alabama too, and then guess they might get to play Duke later. So congratulations to them. Congratulations on getting to play a team that could win national championship. All right, I think it's time for us to wrap it up. I got to head over to Rupp Arena, and then you got to get back to work at the, what do they call? Is it the Rocket Arena? Is that what it is?
Rocket Arena. Nothing
Rocket
like
Arena.
naming something that whose primary tenant competes against a team of the same name.
That's true. That's a good point by you. Didn't it used to be something mortgage? Something?
Rocket Mortgage.
No,
No
was it
free
used
ads.
Rocket Mortgage? Okay.
No free
All right.
ads, but yeah.
Yeah,
That
got
was
you.
that was the owner's main company, or it is the main company, but they went through a rebrand.
Got you. A little sleeker. All right.
Lean and mean. Lean and mean.
Lean, and mean. We could all take notes on that. All right. Thank you so much, Simon, for joining me. And I hope everyone enjoys these games. This was a Fox 54 digital exclusive with Simon Williams and Nick Kuzma.